Nah, I don't need your answer. I want to talk.
She doesn't need his answer. She doesn't need his answer. That's the thing. It doesn't matter what he says. She's not there to get answers from him. No, 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 no. She already knows all the answers. She doesn't need to ask experts for what's going to happen and what's going on in the future. She doesn't need to ask Dr. Fauci about viruses. She already knows it all. She already knows everything she needs to know. Fauci pushes back partisan attacks in fiery House hearing over COVID origins and controversies. So, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the top U.S. infectious disease expert, was back before Congress on Monday, calling simply preposterous Republican allegations that he tried to cover up the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. So they brought together a meeting to ask him about their conspiracy theories that he debunked under oath. He was placed under oath. They were not. That's going to be important later. And they asked him crazy questions that don't have a basis in reality. And then he told them, no, that doesn't comport to reality. That isn't a part of what's real. And this very much upset them. If you're watching, press the subscribe button, press the like button, press the thumbs up. Subscribing is scientifically proven to make me happier, and it'll probably make you happier too. So you should do that. But Monday, Fauci testified voluntarily in public and on camera at a hearing that quickly deteriorated into partisan attacks. Yeah, no shit. The AP's even calling it that. Jesus. Republicans repeated unproven accusations. The accusation is all that matters, as I always say, against the longtime NIH scientist, while Democrats apologized for Congress besmirching his name and bemoaned the missed opportunity to prepare for the next scary outbreak. So they were both playing their parts. He's not a comic book supervillain, said Jamie Raskin. Fauci was the public face of the government's early COVID-19 response under then President Donald Trump. The main issue, many scientists believe the virus most likely emerged in nature and jumped from animals to people, probably at a wildlife market in Wuhan, the city in China where the outbreak began. There's no scientific information supporting that the virus might have leaked from a laboratory. A U.S. intelligence analyst says there's insufficient evidence to prove either way, and a recent Associated Press investigation found the Chinese government froze critical efforts to trace the source of the virus in the first weeks of the outbreak. So, if it came from that lab, the Chinese government shut down the investigation because they don't want that bad press. No press is better than bad press in their situation. But even if it did leak from a laboratory, that laboratory researches these viruses. If the market in Wuhan had a new virus, the scientists at the Wuhan virus lab would have gone to find it and gotten samples of it and brought it back into their lab. That's how the thing works. That's why the Wuhan lab is there, because that's where viruses come from. Hypothetical, follow me here. If you were a walrus researcher, imagine that. You are a walrus scientific doctor. You're a doctorate of walruses. And you've been given a grant of money to go and build a walrus research station. Would you build it in Phoenix, Arizona? No, of course not. There aren't any walruses there. You would build it where they live, you see? So this came up a lot when code first jumped up, like, oh, well, of course it had to
I
come
love
from
how these dipshits can hide behind the speech and debate clause to peddle bullshit, but Fauci has to tell the truth under oath, but they still don't believe him.
Yeah, and we'll get to some of that in a minute. But let me finish. I'm talking about walruses. I'm kidding. Jump into chat anytime you want if you're watching. At the beginning of the pandemic, people were saying, well, why did the virus come out of a place with a virus research place? You're looking at it backwards. The virus research place is in Wuhan because that's where viruses come from, baby. That's where they're born. That's where they're created. That is where they are smashed together biologically with bat poop and pangolin DNA and monkey jizz to just create filthy new nightmare monster viruses. And because we know that's where the horrible biological nightmares come from, they built a virus lab there to be on the ground looking for the damn things, catching them, grabbing them like Pokemon. You got to catch them all, bring them in, and study them. And even if the lab leak hypothesis was correct, that doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the past. COVID-19 happened.
God, that sounds like a terrible Hello Fresh recipe.
Yeah, that's why they don't sponsor me, is because I talk too much about monkey jizz. It's true. Even if it came from the lab, you still needed to quarantine, which most of us didn't, and you still needed to stay 6 feet away, which a lot of us didn't, and you still needed to wear a mask in public. A lot of us didn't want to, but we did it anyway. You still had to get the shots. Nothing changes. It's not like, oh, we proved that it was a lab leak. All those million dead people come back to life. No. Oh, we proved that it was a lab leak. I guess we get those 2 years back. No. I guess we didn't have to wear a mask for a couple of years. No, you still had to do that. And even if it was leaked from a lab, guess what? The best way to handle it, isolation, put your mask on, wash your hands. It's still the right answer. The math doesn't matter if we get to the same answer, you know? And is there the only thing that might change is we could be like, okay, well, what kind of experiments did you guys do on it beforehand? To which it doesn't matter. It still was in the area. The lab in Wuhan, if it escaped from the lab, got it from the market in Wuhan. And if it was there, it would have got out. It's definitely going to get out of the market. It doesn't make any difference. It's a unimportant fight that I don't know why Republicans and right-wingers and people really fight over this one issue, and I don't get it. I don't know why proving it was a lab leak makes 1 million people come back to life. It doesn't. I don't know why they're so hung up on it. It means that you don't have to wash your hands.
Excuse to blame China.
Yeah, well, we can just blame China, and all those 1 million people are now China's fault and not my fault for not washing my hands and not wearing a mask. So if Maytag doesn't wear a mask and spreads a disease around, it's China's fault, not Maytag's fault. Maybe that's why they push so hard for it. I never thought about it from that angle. They get to blame China instead of themselves, because themselves are passing the germs around. Themselves, the right wing, the Republicans who refuse to wear a mask and refuse to social distance and did not shut down at all, get to blame somebody else instead of themselves for not doing the right thing. They can absolve themselves and say, no, it doesn't matter. We're not going to wear a mask because it's China's fault. So if you get sick and die from COVID, China's fault. Not my fault for giving it to you. Not my fault for refusing to wear a mask. It's China's fault. I hadn't thought about that angle before, but I don't think about blame. I don't think about fault the way that Republicans seem to obsess over fault. It's an exhausting way to live, and so I don't tend to think about it all that much. Fauci has long said publicly that he was open to both theories, but that there's more evidence supporting COVID-19's natural origins, the way other deadly viruses, including coronavirus, cousins SARS and MERS, jumped into people. It was a position he repeated Monday as Republican lawmakers questioned if he worked behind the scenes to squelch the lab leak theory, or even tried to influence intelligence agencies. Why? Who cares? NIH for years gave grants to a New York nonprofit called EcoHealth Alliance that used some of its funds to work with Chinese labs studying coronaviruses commonly carried in bats. Last month, the government suspended EcoHealth's federal funding, citing its failure to properly monitor some of those experiments. The definition of gain of function covers both general research and especially risky experiments to enhance the ability of potentially pandemic pathogens to spread or cause severe disease in humans. Fauci stressed he was using the risky experiment definition, saying it would be molecularly impossible for the bat viruses studied with EcoHealth's funds to be turned into a virus that caused a pandemic. So he's saying that everything is fine and nothing is fucked. The pandemic's origins weren't the only hot topic. The House panel also blasted some public health measures taken to slow spread of the virus before COVID-19 vaccines. Spread by NIAID research helped allow to return to normalcy. Ordering people to stay 6 feet apart meant many businesses, schools, and churches wouldn't stay open. And subcommittee chairman Brad Wenstrup, Republican from Ohio, called it a burdensome and arbitrary rule, noting that his prior closed-door testimony Fauci had acknowledged it wasn't scientifically backed. It's just a good idea. Fauci responded Monday that the 6 feet distancing wasn't his guideline, but one created by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention before scientists had learned that the virus was airborne, not simply spread by droplets emitted a certain distance. This is the difficulty with science and talking to dummies. What happens is you have a theory like, hey, I think it's spread by droplets, so stay 6 feet apart. And then we all hear that, and then we all do it, and then they find out, oh no, it is airborne, and the 6 feet apart doesn't matter, but hey, it couldn't hurt. You know, you have to almost recondition people. The science changes as you learn more stuff. That's the difficulty of it. Hey, we think this thing might be right. Oh shit, it turns out it wasn't. Well, okay, let's pivot, let's change. That doesn't mean that the scientists are making shit up as they go. They are kind of making shit up as they go, but that's how it's supposed to work. That's fine. That's how it works. When you find new data, what you do is you incorporate it and move forward. You don't fight kicking and screaming about the past. We didn't think that masks were going to help, and then we found out that they were. So then they suggested we do masks. That's why but your story changed. Oh, your story changed. You said no mask. Now you said mask. Now you say 2 masks. We found new stuff. All you have to do is just roll with it. Don't be obstinate. When shit changes, adapt with it. Don't just
Always on the lookout for a gotcha moment.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is too. If you try something and it doesn't work, stop trying it. That's it. But the obstinance is part of the problem. Nicole Malatakis grilling Dr. Fauci about a made-up thing.
That they should really not be talking about a lab leak.
Thank you.
That's the conspiracy.
Appreciate that. Dr. Fauci, how much have you earned from royalties from pharmaceutical companies since the pandemic began in 2021?
Oh my God, she's gonna get him. How much did you make off of COVID? Let's hear what he says while under oath.
0.
Oh shit, she got him. Oh no. Again, this is right-wing nonsense. They think that he made billions of dollars off of this thing, and it's simply not true. They like to say things that aren't true if it makes them feel good. And then this lady's not happy with that.
It says NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers. You're saying that you did not receive any of the $710 million.
On COVID, I received, I think, $122 for a monoclonal antibody that I made 27 years ago.
Okay, so just in general, though, how much have you received, not related to COVID, just in general, how much have you received in royalties between 2021 and 2023?
I think none.
Okay, so somebody received the $710 million.
She's so upset. The things that she has been told aren't true, and she can't wrap her head around the idea that she's been lied to. She can't grasp it. She can't contemplate that the thing that she believes is not true. Lots of the things that Republicans believe aren't true.
Somebody did, but not me.
You didn't receive any royalties. Okay.
I mean, I see no royalties associated with COVID. I mentioned.
I said.
No, I want.
No, I just said.
I'm on the record, and I want to make sure that this is clear. That I've developed a monoclonal antibody about 25 years ago that's used as a diagnostic that has nothing to do with COVID, and I receive an average of about $120 a year from that patent.
Okay, but the bottom line here is that scientists at NIH did receive $710 million in royalties, and I guess my question is, don't you think that if these experiments are made using American tax dollars, that any of those royalties, this nearly billions of dollars, should be going back to the American taxpayer, not in the pockets of the scientists? Do you believe that's a law that we should consider changing?
Oh shit! Now she's got him. Maybe she should change. Maybe Dr. Fauci should change the laws.
If you want to change the patent laws and the Bayh-Dole Act, then go ahead.
Okay.
But that's not.
She's in the legislative branch. If she doesn't like the way the laws are written, she's the person to talk to. Scientists did the fucking work, right? If she's unhappy with the patent laws, she's in the legislative branch. She can change them. She can bring them up for a vote. She can write a new one and get that voted and passed. I can't do that. You can't do that. Dr. Fauci can't do that. She's in the legislative branch complaining about the laws. Does she know what her job is supposed to be? Does she know that she is a member of the legislative branch? I don't think she does. Maybe she doesn't know that the legislative branch makes laws. Maybe she doesn't have any idea. Doing government, she's not allowed to do that. Right, she is a Republican. Her writing a law and getting it passed would be doing a government, and she might get thrown out. Republicans don't like it when the legislature does legislative things. It's very strange. So that one just flabbergasted me. Like, if she's upset with the law. There is nobody in the world who is better placed to fix it than her. Honestly, if she really does think that there's a problem with the way this law is structured, fix it. That's part of your actual literal job description. But here she is giving Dr. Fauci shit just so she can have a cool soundbite and go on Fox News and claim that Fauci's a fraud. Let's see, who is next? There she is. Good old Maytag. Here we go. What has she got to say?
NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers, a fact that's been hidden. Let's talk about the fact.
It's not hidden. You're holding it up on a printed headline. It's not hidden. This is normal. It's not even weird that you would work for the government, do experiments, and then get a patent for the thing you discovered and then make some money from it. That's normal. If you are unhappy with that, Maytag, change the laws. You are a member of the legislative branch. But I don't think she knows what the legislative branch does.
Fact about, is it right for scientists and doctors getting paid by the American people, government taxpayer paychecks, to get patents where they're paid millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in royalty fees, especially when the NIH and these government agencies, most powerful agencies in our country, are
The NIH is more powerful than the House of Congress and stuff like that. I guess it seems unlikely.
recommending medical suggestions and advice and making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor. You're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes.
Oh, mean girls again. They simply deploy Marjorie Taylor Greene to cause shit, to stir the pot. This is why she's there. This is why they're not going to kick her out, because they want her talking shit and making threats and being a pain in the ass, because it gets the people riled up. People don't like Congress. It's boring. But you know what they do like? They like Jerry Springer.
No, I don't need your answer. I want to talk.
She doesn't need his answer. I paused it 1 second too soon. She doesn't need his answer. That's the thing. It doesn't matter what he says. She's not there to get answers from him. No. She already knows all the answers. She doesn't need to ask experts for what's going to happen and what's going on in the future. She doesn't need to ask Dr. Fauci about viruses. She already knows it all. She already knows everything she needs to know. And she does not need answers from no expert. No. She knows everything. She is omniscient. She got all her information from Twitter and Alex Jones and the Daily Mail, and they told her everything she ever needs to know. She got all her answers from Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity. There's nothing else she needs to know.
Talk about this right here.
Mr. Chairman,
Fauci,
objection.
I reclaim my
Mr. Chairman,
time.
objection.
I reclaim my time. Mr. Raskin.
Gentlelady will suspend.
Mr. Chairman,
Point of order.
just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Yes, because in my time, that man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be revoked, and he belongs in
Gentlelady will
prison.
suspend.
Any reason for that? Just because you had to wear a mask. She is so in her feels. She's so mad that she had to wear a mask for a couple of years. She's ready to abandon all logical thought because she was uncomfortable with a mask for a couple of years. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's all of it. We've recovered from COVID. Lots of people never did. I recognize. There's like 1 million Americans died from it. She's just angry that a thing happened and she had to take some responsibility. So socially distance, isolate a little bit, shut down the schools, wear a mask. That's it. And even then, it still killed 1 million people. It could have been much, much worse. It could have been much worse if we did nothing. If we let her take over, she would have just said it's a lab leak and it came from China, and I'm not going to do any of those things that you're telling me to do. And she would have spread it even further, and more people would have died. But in her mind, that would have been acceptable because it would have been somebody else's fault. There's nothing. She's got nothing. She just has random, generic kind of feels that she doesn't like it. And she doesn't like him because when she was in trouble, When all the things were going wrong and everything was scary, he was on TV, so he's clearly to blame. And it can't possibly be anybody else, can't possibly be her, can't possibly be the American people. It's gotta be somebody else. Blame somebody. That's all she wants to do is blame. She's not here to find out if something happened or how we could have done better. She didn't ask how we can do better next time. She didn't ask what we should do better as a government, as a country, as a society to make the next virus less deadly. She didn't bring up any of that. She just needs to blame somebody so that she can feel better. She needs to feel better. And that feeling starts with vindication for her side and blaming the other, blaming somebody else. She is all feelings all day long, non-stop. The United States did not fund research that created the pathogen. Fauci didn't lie about the US's role in gain-of-function research in the laboratory. He didn't try to suppress the lab leak theory or bribe people to reject it. He didn't get rich off the pandemic. This is the important bit. These are the facts. Marjorie Taylor Greene tells me she puts facts in over feelings. Here's the facts. The United States did not fund the research to create a pathogen. Fauci did not lie about the US's role in the gain-of-function research in the laboratory, and he didn't suppress the lab leak theory or bribe people to reject it. Those are facts. But guess what she's not going to talk about? Guess what the people on Twitter and the right wing are not going to talk about? The facts. They don't care. They only care about those feelings that they have. They feel sad and bad. That means they need to lash out. They don't care about the facts that we just read, that were discussed today. They just want to feel at people. I think that's my catchphrase. I finally found it.